What is up, everybody? Welcome to, quite frankly, I wasn't prepared to do this today, so you had to bear with me here. I'm a little caught off guard. I'm not going to lie. Welcome to this recap of today's episode of NWA Powerrr that just ended over on Fight TV. If you were watching, cool. If not, there'll be spoilers ahead, so keep that in mind as we go along here. I'm waiting for my co-host, my exclusive NWA co-host, the one and only Simple Man himself, Noah Foster. He will be with us momentarily, but I wanted to make sure I got on the air real quick and started this thing off. I mean, what a way to start the episode of NWA Powerrr. Here, there at the podium, we've got Kyle Davis, who is forever verklempt when it comes to people interviewing people at the podium, especially with Tyrus and Austin Idol around. But man, Billy Corgan's there, and there standing there is Mickie James, who we all knew and heard that she was in town for the tapings, and there was a picture of her, I think either May Valentine posted or Mickie herself posted, of the two of them conversing. And wow, I am overjoyed for the NWA audience and for myself. I'm a member of the audience. I love the NWA, and I'm so happy that they that banner needs to be gone because the show already started. Boop, there you go. Hi. Just so cool that we've got a all women's pay-per-view coming up for the NWA, and leading the way, the former multi-time women's champion in more than one company, Mickie James. Of course, those people that know, of course, she's married to the man who still, as I said on Sunday, holds the 10 pounds of gold, the national treasure himself, Nick Aldis. So Mickie James looks like she's officially with the NWA, which is so cool. I'm going to go ahead and get the background set up. That way I don't have that problem when I bring in the man himself, the simple man himself, Noah Foster. I mean, how do you start a episode of Powerrr bigger than the president himself and Mickie freaking James? Oh my God.
I can't even fathom how you do something bigger, let alone the announcements going forward. That was a tremendous way to open the show. Truly, everything felt like it has changed, and it's going to evolve from here. It's like what Billy Corgan alluded to in his interview before When Our Shadows Fall. He wants the NWA to be that land of opportunity, and he truly believes there are no limits here with what this company and what anyone can do and what he's trying to do with its presentation. I could not think of a bigger way to start this season. That was unbelievable.
Yeah, oh, geez, hi. Hang on just a second. Hang on one second. Let me text that person. I'm on the air.
NWO. Nice.
I am on the air with my show. I'll be there momentarily. Turn that damn volume down. I thought I had the thing on silent. Obviously, I did not. Okay. So we've seen Billy, get involved in the business before, as far as, he was helping out, so to speak, in ECW, the old ECW, and then of course he had a major stake in Impact Wrestling for the longest time. But man, in the 3 reigns he has undertaken, actually almost 4 years now since he purchased the NWA brand name, he has gone above and beyond. And I think this is huge news for him personally, because I know he's always been a fan of Mickie James. He's always loved her talent and her ability. I know he just what's the word I'm looking for? He strived hard to get her recognition and impact, and now she's standing right there next to him in Kyle Davis. It's so cool to see. What were your thoughts when we opened the show? We don't get the open yet. We get the cold open with these 3 people. What was your reaction besides what I saw on Twitter?
Out of nowhere. I mean, I had to imagine they were going to definitely talk about the outcomes of the show. And also, of course, what everybody's talking about was the end of the pay-per-view. But I did not expect for us to swarm in that direction when I saw the screen come up. And not only Billy Corgan was there, but Mickie James, who, might I add, alluded to in multiple interviews since her departure from the WWE. This is what she strived for and wanted to do. And in a similar way, Maria Kanellis-Bennett, she kind of had the same idealisms and is trying to do that from the ground up in Ring of Honor. Well, Billy Corgan has literally given Mickie James the entire reins to literally produce her own all-women's wrestling pay-per-view for the NWA. It truly shocked me. I always expected Mickie James to show up in the NWA, not just because, she's related to National Treasure, but I felt that she could bring a lot to this company with what it tries to present itself. And I know Billy Corgan and Mickie James have ties that go all the way back to the previous company. So seeing Mickie James and Billy Corgan there and subtly just giving Mickie James not only this acknowledgement, but this responsibility and this opportunity, it was truly something special to see, and it truly shows me what type of booker Billy Corgan is trying to portray himself as, but also what he's trying to do for pro wrestling in general. Give that stage, give that outlook, that focus on women's wrestling, not for its monetary value, but for its importance and its presentation purposes. And as an advocate of women's wrestling, I have nothing but tremendous respect for that.
Absolutely. And then we go from that to our boy Joe Galli, who, as I said to you last night, man, was right there with you at the supreme anger at Strictly Business. I mean, he was trying to give Camille her props, and then, Camille brings out Tom, who was just Joe was up in his face. I'm like, oh, Joe, don't hit Joe. Please don't hit Joe Galli. And he didn't, thank God. But, then Nick came out, and, everybody was making it very clear that Joe was about to get his ass handed to him. And by the grace of the wrestling gods, no, not you, Bradshaw, Tim Storm came out and settled Joe's tea kettle to get him off stage. And, then we find out that there will be indeed a tournament to determine a new national champion. Since Adonis advocated the title, he still thinks he's a champion, as does Nick Aldis, as does Tom Latimer, of course. But in the official record books, he voluntarily surrendered the title. So I'm looking forward to another tournament. I mean, we just did a tournament not too long ago, if I remember right. I think the national championship it wasn't really a tournament. It was more of a 1-4-8 match. On the 4-8 match, the winner, the winner is the champion. But
right,
I hope we get a decent, captivating TV type tournament out of this. But man, just first you had the Billy Corgan segment. Now you had a really, really heated segment with Joe Galli, who I admire Joe. He's a great play-by-play man, but he's getting in, a little over his head here, messing with Strictly Business.
It's one of those things where, as a fan, because again, if you're in commentary, I imagine you're a fan at heart. Joe Galli personifies that. I think you do let the emotions get the better of you. And again, apologies to you and all your listeners last night. I'm still figuring out volume for this.
From Sunday, it's totally okay. It's totally okay, Rob. No worries.
I know my voice carries, so that's gonna be loud and stuff like that. But anyway, yeah, I thought for sure it was going to get very physical here. He was this close, I think, getting dropped or in a reverse cloverleaf. And the thing is, being an investigative journalist, which also goes with the whole role of commentary, I can understand that to a degree, which Joe Galli represents on all fronts. This was definitely one of the most realistic storytelling standpoints I can figure about when it comes to what I feel like is a power struggle in the NWA when it comes to Nick Aldis and Billy Corgan, which really seems to be the whole entire forefront of the NWA's business strategy, I imagine. But the fact that Joe Galli, it's cut out simple. We're focusing on the NWA World Women's Champion Camille, who definitely won it the right way and deserved it. Tremendous match, my match of the night personally from the pay-per-view. And then all of a sudden, Latimer comes into play, and then we talk about everything that happened after the main event. Also, we learned that Nick Aldis was fined $25,000. Damn.
Yeah.
But yeah, Joe Galli, I mean, you talk about really letting your emotion get the best of you or truly being invested, not only what you do, but also what everyone else does. You could tell how much this really, it seemed like, legitimately affected him. And I felt like if it wasn't for Tim Storm, Joe Galli might literally have been dropped where he stood.
And I am all about passion and all about, standing up for what you believe in wrestling and journalism and anything, but there's also a time and place to not get your ass whooped, and Joe was very, very close to that precipice of the wrong direction. So hopefully whatever happens down the line, we won't see Joe end up in a heap. And we'll talk more about Joe later. But once we got everything settled down and we got the announcements made, went to commercial, and out came the TV championship match. We had Luke Hawx, who, I've talked about the first arena show I went to in 2003. Luke Hawx was still, not quite Altar Boy Luke anymore, but he was still, he was around then even. So the fact that he is now still in wrestling and his son is now competing with him, that was very, very cool to see. But he challenged the Pope and, got close to that 6:05 time limit where it was going to be a retention by time limit. And Pope ended up pulling it out and got the Elijah Express and 1, 2, 3, and he's still the champion 5 defenses in, 2 to go.
On the road of Lucky 7. He right now, Pope has all the momentum. He has the crowd behind him, and he definitely respects this title and what it stood for. I thought it was very nice to see, as you alluded to, this father-son duo here at ringside. Literally the father supporting his son. Luke Hawx, I thought, had a great showing. He went the distance with the Pope nearly the whole entire 6 minutes and 5 seconds. But within a minute, about the 52-second mark, the Express left the station, and it found its destination. And next thing you know, history was made, and it was written that Pope retained. And the Pope, he looked like he didn't have any ring rust or any delusions during this too, after that loaded KO punch from the pay-per-view. But overall, I thought this was a good showing. Luke Hawx, again, tremendous potential. And the Pope, again, as they allude to on commentary, he's only 2 wins away where he could cash that in to challenge for the NWA World Championship. And there's no doubt Nick Aldis is probably watching. It's funny to me that was not acknowledged at all during the opening segment. And also, of course, how it's friendships and business are all set aside when it comes to Strictly Business. But you got to imagine Strictly Business Foundation is to have all the gold. And I have to imagine that Aldis would think that at this point, Pope, he could pose as a threat.
Give me 1 second. No, I'm sorry. I have somebody at the door. Hang on 1 second. But let me just say this. After that, a little bit later on, we saw Austin Idol come out with Tyrus. They still want their hands on the TV championship match. I mean, he beat Pope straight up on Sunday, so he's definitely undershot. Shady though it may have been, he's still undershot.
Well, yeah, I can understand that because, again, the ref's decision is final, and when you get a win is a win. So I think that definitely puts him in contention towards another match for the title. Imagine if he's number 7 on the Pope's run to try and go after the National Treasure. That wouldn't have surprised me one bit. Meanwhile, folks, allow me to give you some brief prelude here. This is not for monetary gain. We are not sponsored, but I would highly encourage you to go check out the NWA website and their shopping center where you can buy pins, shirts, DVD sets. I've got a bunch of pins coming up. Help show your support for the National Wrestling Alliance, support pro wrestling, the small guys, the big players, you name it, and appreciate the legacy and the overall run that is the National Wrestling Alliance as they approach their 73rd anniversary. And with that, we're just waiting for, of course, good old JM to return. So allow me to give you... There we go.
Sorry about that. What can I do for you? Okay. Sorry. So, yeah, just the fact that, like I said, Tyrus definitely... However he earned the victory on Sunday, he's for my money the number 1 contender to Pope's title. So what I'm thinking is going to happen is Pope will win. He'll get win number 6, and then either number 7 will be he beats Tyrus, or that's the one where he comes up short, and we have a whole new starting point.
Again, if Nick Aldis truly thinks the Pope is a threat, I can definitely see Strictly Business playing in the result of that match if Tyrus is revisited, because the Pope is going to be aware now that Tyrus has that weapon. I don't think he's going to fall for it again. You know the old proverb, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. I don't think he's going to get Pope the same way twice, which is why I think a screwy angle is going to come, because at the end of the day, Strictly Business is always going to do whatever they have to stay on top.
Right. And then, we had... I'm not familiar with the gentleman that came out, but his name was Big G's or whatever they said his name on the episode. I'm curious where they're going to go with that, because he seems more like a managerial type in the MVP vein than he is in a wrestling vein. So if Tyrus already has Austin Idol, where does this guy? Who's he representing? Very very curious to see where that goes.
Well, he could be also scouting right now again, because, again, True. He's talking about business venture, and you think about all the young prime talent. I mean, there's Marche Rocket, there's Slice Boogie. There are several potential participants that I could definitely see being represented by this guy if you truly want to push somebody forward or you feel somebody needs a mouthpiece. And there's one thing about the NWA, a lot of the roster, they're not that vocal. What they do is they show what they bring in the ring.
Again, and much like the gentleman that came out not too long after that, it's all a mystery. I'm trying so hard to pin down this guy's voice, the Masked Man. I can't. I couldn't pin it down in my head. Did you get any indication as to who you think it is?
I gotta be honest. I thought it literally sounded like Jay Morrissey at first, but there's no way it's him. But I just can't think who this guy is. But something about his voice really links me to think it's somebody I can recognize. And now, again, the NWA leaving us more questions than answers. Suspension of disbelief. Is Billy Corgan literally hiring somebody privately from the inside, not only to scout the NWA, but shape it and maybe have closer eyes on strictly business. Something about this just doesn't feel fair or right. There's more to this than meets the eye.
It definitely doesn't add up, whatever the case may be. And I don't see Billy as the type that would, be, that Vince McMahon, Eric Bischoff's type authority figure that would just randomly throw somebody in there and cut a promo like that. So there's something not quite right that we'll get there. Like I said, we'll get there as we move along. But I loved and again, people are going to crap on Terran Tyrell because of her personality in the ring or whatever. I dig it. I'm so glad that the overly bubbly, obnoxious Tara is back, and Terran, not Tara. God damn, I'm so tired. Terran Tyrell is back, and she pulled a fast one on Lady Frost. Man, she distracted her and rolled her up at the 1, 2, 3. And like I said on Sunday, when it comes to this, it's not whether you do it, or it's not how you do it, it's if you do it. And Terran got the win straight up. So
it was also like her first real singles in-ring debut for the NWA. She's being a part of it. The last, again, she's only been involved in one of her matches. It was a tag affair, and Thunder Rosa literally carried her off. So we have no idea what was the outcome from that. But yeah, I found this interesting. What's up, Big G?
Hey, Big G, good to see you, brother. Good to see you.
I found this interesting for a number of reasons. One, Terran Tyrell, former Knockouts champion, as Velvet Sky alluded to. And let me just give some props to Velvet Sky. She really has come into her own on this commentary.
Very much so.
I truly can see the passion and the emotion and her overall just investment. Not only what happens in the NWA, but just really everybody in that ring. She truly, I feel like, belongs in this spot. Not just the NWA, but as a commentator, she really helps drive talent and story forward. And I feel she gives that nice layer to this trio when you got the veteran Tim Storm and the ever investigative journalist Joe Gallery. So Velvet Sky, respect to you. But going back to this, I found this interesting because literally it was mind games. And Lady Frost, her first debut in the NWA, I'm sure it won't be her last. I hope to see more of her too. I know how well she is, especially on the independent scene. Seen her sometimes also on AEW Dark. But yeah, I mean, literally, she caught her, just threw her off. It's like, okay, thank you. And then she turned her back into the ropes. I don't know what that was about. Maybe she was going to leave on her own power and be like, okay, this is nonsense. I don't want to deal with this either. And at the end of the day, Terran Tyrell, she rolled her up enough to hold her down for the 3 count. I did not think that was going to be it, but it was. Mind games won over here, not physical capability. So I'm curious if this will be revisited and will we truly see what both these women are capable of doing in the ring. Because we know how far Terran Tyrell can go. But again, Lady Frost, she is unknown to the NWA world.
There you go. So we had another commercial, and then we cut to May Valentine backstage with the challenger from Sunday, Trevor Murdoch, of course. Came up short, no matter how you slice and dice it, he did not walk out the champion. He definitely seems like a freaking lost puppy out there, man. He's just so woebegone and so upset that he did everything right. He did it the right way, and he still came out on the short end of the stick. And it's like I tried to say on Sunday, amidst the yelling and the deafness that I incurred. It doesn't matter if you walk out the champion or how you walk out the champion. You walk out the champion straight up. And Trevor, having been trained by Harley Race, he should know that by now. I mean, Harley was the champion 8 times around. He was the first WWF King of the Ring that was actually acknowledged as a king. Harley, Harley didn't, train him to be a crybaby at all. So this whole, hopelessness that May alluded to and that Trevor agreed with, it ain't going to last very long. It shouldn't anyway. I mean, I know Trevor's, well into his career by now. Like I said, he was World Tag Team Champion with the WWE, almost 20 years ago. So, but he was such a young guy then, teaming with Cade. I definitely think he has some gas left in the tank. I just don't know if this whole, whiny, he wasn't whiny. He was very matter of fact that he feels he got robbed, and maybe he did. But again, you don't win the world championship by complaining. You win the world championship by sucking it back up and taking the champ out again.
Well, the thing that I noticed about this, it seems like he's being the humble family man because he's talking about how he is like his son's like role model, it seems. But also right now, he feels like he's lost. He has a destination, but now he does not know how to restart this new journey. He wants to be the NWA World Champion, and at this point, he's like, okay, I gave it my all. What do I do from here? Is this truly it? Is it not destined for me? At this point, it feels like he's playing the sympathy card, and it might be like overplayed right now because, again, the odds is like, not my champion, as we heard in the beginning. So where Trevor Murdoch goes from here on this journey to maybe redefine himself and overcome Strictly Business, eventually that's possible. I don't know, but you could definitely tell this is a much more sauntered backstage interview by May Valentine. And where Trevor Murdoch goes from here, or when he shows up again, only time will tell.
Yeah, definitely a somber mood there in the interview area, no question about it. Then we go out to the ring. We've got the End versus La Rebellion, and man, I said it on Twitter. I mean, a clash of styles. Holy goodness! Match gets thrown out. No real surprise. They kept, they were fighting all over the studio, so it was a matter of when, not if. And the referee finally had enough. And I don't know how that furthered either team's path to the champions, Kratos and Stevens, but what really bugged me is that was a flat finish. I mean, yeah, it was an intense match, but the match ended flat, and then the show ended kind of flat because we had the Camille coronation, and Melina interrupted, and then Genocide interrupted, and that was it. We didn't get any, there was no real oomph behind it. It almost felt like there was a poor edit or something. They just kind of threw it together and threw it on the air over the last 2 days. So I enjoyed the show. I enjoyed the majority of the action and the interviews and everything. But I want to say the last 6-7 minutes was like, okay, now what? There should have been more, and there wasn't. And am I wrong there? Or?
No, I completely agree. It's like I literally tweeted when the show ended. The season premiere definitely left us with a lot more questions than answers. At this point, yes. I'm like, okay, where do we go from here? First off, the End and La Rebellion. Awesome match, clash of styles, clash of experience, two different worlds colliding. It was like I told you during our predictions and during our watch along. It was like these two teams from that 4-way opener. I want to see these two clash, and we got a little tease of that. Something tells me, especially with the fact it all broke down afterwards, chaos in the GBB studios. These two teams are not done with each other by a long shot, and I do hope we get this again, maybe under no DQ stipulations, because obviously you're not going to contain these two teams in the ring. They're not going to somehow just play by the rules. And as far as the End, it did seem a bit, but the one thing I take away from this, okay, who's going to step up to the new NWA Women's World Champion? And before we forget, let's not also forget how it was acknowledged how much Serena Deeb gave towards this title, being its representative, but how hard it was
yes, we saw
to
her
lose
on the show. Yeah, I forgot about that.
How hard it was to lose it, but certainly May Valentine, I share the same sentiments. I certainly hope this is not the last time we see Serena Deeb in the NWA. She was a phenomenal champion. She carried that title with pride. She talked about what it stood for and what she wanted to stand for, what this company stands for, profession, legacy, wrestling. She covered all of those bases. So truly, I do not hope this is the last time we see Serena Deeb in the NWA. She did the title and the company proud. That being said, Melina, that was weird to me because it's like, okay, I get it. Maybe you think Thunder Rosa should have been the champion, should have faced Deeb. So was she coming out on Thunder Rosa's behalf? Because again, Thunder Rosa was not involved in here at all. And again, that makes me wonder, okay, when's Thunder Rosa going to show up and maybe confront Camille? Because I'm sure Thunder Rosa wants that title back. And then Genocide, one of the most unique opponents in Camille's run in the NWA, one of my favorite fights, I might add, and one of the more promising, I would say, prospects at this point for the women's division of women's wrestling, especially in the NWA. She comes out and not only halts this confrontation with Melina, doesn't necessarily get physical, but kind of, throws her off. But then there's like a subtle stare down and nod. So is that like a show of respect? Be aware, though, I want this title. Or, as alluded to, is the dealer making moves again? And does Camille have an insurance policy? Or is there some sort of tandem going on here? So again, a lot more questions than answers. If this show did anything for me, it let me in a suspension for what's to come next. While you would think you would get a balance of action and proceed storytelling, here was more so teasers and setup. It was a really odd episode, to say the least, for this season premiere.
Yeah, definitely makes me want to, have 6:05 next Tuesday come here a lot quicker than it will. So looking forward to it. I did want to briefly before we sign off here, because I know you're trying to watch AW Dark, and I appreciate that. You can pop it in here.
No problem.
I talked about Joe earlier. We haven't agreed on dates and times or anything, but we did agree in principle that at some point, very, very soon, this is a few people know this in my circle, but I haven't made an announcement to the world yet. Here it is right here. Coming up at some point very soon, I'll be going one-on-one with Joe Galli. So it'll be curious to see what the voice of the NWA has to say about what happened on Sunday, what happened today, and what happens and what's going to happen in the weeks to come, and how his time in NWA has gone, his whole relationship, I said, for lack of a better term, with Nick Aldis and Camille, and how that's shaped his presentation. Can't wait to get Joe on the air. Blah, blah, easy for me to say. But looking forward to having Joe on. Looking forward to talking to our NWA talent. There's a lot of people out there that saw my tweets during the show, that retweeted me, that I've talked to in the past. I'd love to have the Pope on. Love to have May Valentine on. Anybody out there with the NWA that wants another platform besides the awesome platform that Billy gives you, I'm right here, brother. So there you go. Come on down and join the Meacham Network for an interview, please. But that, like I said, Joe Galli will be coming in the very near future. We just have to nail down dates and times because he's a very busy man. On top of NWA, he's also doing his news reporting. So he is a busy individual. But I'm looking forward to having him join me for a exclusive chat here very, very soon. So AW Dark's going on right now. Tomorrow, for everybody here watching on my platforms, there should, quote unquote, be the Greg Cherry Show at 7 Eastern, which would be, this time tomorrow. And then I may or may not be on the NoDQ review at 8 o'clock since Aaron's doing it on Wednesday with the lack of AEW on Wednesday night. But I know that, you said you're available for that show, as is Big G. So possibly. I may be sitting in the sidelines, which is fine by me. Don't mind having a night off. That's always good. So
that we all need that.
But thank you again for popping in. I know it's kind of last minute. I really wasn't planning to do a show at all today as far as the NWA goes, because my internet's been so wiggy. My power's been so wiggy. But the fact that I've had lights on for an hour, it's a good sign. So
well, that's good to know. At least if things are kind of in order.
Well, it's like Colin said in the chat. We are so obnoxiously shortchanged when it comes to Southern California and Edison. They're a mess. So, and the thing is, when we lose power, we lose internet too. So I've got both Edison and Spectrum really like a damn Benny Hill cartoon trying to get shit together. It's terrible. So jeez. I appreciate you popping in for me last minute. I appreciate you doing the thing just now. I had to walk away. You, my friend, are a pro. I really appreciate your contribution to my network and to my life as a friend. Dude, you are an awesome soul. I cannot wait to work with you more. I may or may not be doing the watch along on Sunday for NXT. So if that happens to be the case, I'll be more than happy to bring you on if you're available.
I'll try and drop in like special guest appearance because I host. I try and bring friends of wrestling together too with Zoom, and of course tracking the NoDQ Galaxy and Team NoDQ predictions, True. Which I know are coming up very soon because literally tonight is the go home to takeover, and who knows what's going to happen tonight on NXT after last week's chaotic show. Yeesh. Yeah.
Going to be bonkers, but I've got my prediction show on Saturday because is Aaron doing the NXT predictions tomorrow, or is he doing NoDQ review tomorrow?
I thought it was the predictions actually tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Because I didn't get a chance to read the whole conversation, so that may be the case. Well, whether I'm on tomorrow or not, I will definitely be on with my predictions Saturday, and then of course the pre-show at 6:30 and our watch along at 7 o'clock. That is this Sunday. But again, tomorrow's the Greg Cherry Show. Thursday is the NoDQ review, I think, and then Friday is JJMI's coverage of Steve Austin's Greatest Matches, which is uploaded. I got it uploaded on time. So that'll be going live at 7 o'clock Eastern on Friday. In the meantime, he is the Simple Man. I am the West Coast Professor Jeff Meacham. We will see you guys tomorrow right here on the Jeff Meacham Network.